Hi. Some of my English friends asked me if it was possible to do one or two of my paranormal stories in English. And yeah, why not? Actually, the last one that I posted, it was on my vlog in Dutch, was the one that most did understand a little bit what it was about. And they would love to hear the same thing in English. Okay. What is it about? Well, in Holland, I do a lot on social media called Hives, and on Hives, I talk a lot about paranormal, the things that happen to me and happen to other people. There are a lot of people actually sending me their stories and asking them to have an anonymous posted for them. So, because everyone who has to do with paranormal apparently is still a little bit afraid of what the rest of the people might say, and I think that's stupid. Because paranormal, it says, the word says it himself, normal. It's paranormal. It's not para-abnormal. So if you want to do anything like that, it's normal. And if you feel like sharing it, that will be a very good thing, because the more we share, the more things we realize that are going on around us. I'm sometimes totally surprised about some things. I'm not paranormal. We call it, I'm not a medium or something. I'm more a paranormal sensitive person. That means because I'm open for it, apparently I can see and feel more things than most people do. And on my hives, I had a guy writing me, he said, I have the most crazy thing happening to me every bloody day, 24/7, and I don't dare to share it with anyone because they put me in an institution as a kid because they thought I was totally crazy. He said, and I always have been able to hide it. I'm more than willing to talk with you about it, but we have to do it in a way that, honestly, I trust you, but still, you got my email now, please send me your phone number and we make an appointment. So why not? I mean, I'm easy on that level. And beside of that, I got multiple telephone numbers, so it's easy to have one, especially for this kind of occasions. And the guy called me and he said, let's make a deal, and we go to the beach in Holland and we meet there and there, this point. And you have to realize that where we made the appointment is near a huge old bunker that the Germans built during the Second World War. And so it was easy to find him anyway. I arrived there, I see the guy, and we just introduced myself and we talked, and then he explained to me what happened to him. He said, 24/7 a day I see things from different time shots. So he said it can happen that an hour ago I was seeing things around me from 1600, and an hour later I see things that happened only, what is it, a week ago. So putting those things together, he said, it did drive me nuts. He said, now I know to realize what is reality and what is not. He said, and that makes it for me possible to live. At that point he grabs my hand and he said, this is something you probably want to see. And when he grabbed my hand, I realized that the clouds were disappearing in the sky, there were a little bit. And when I looked at the people at the beach, instead of nice sexy ladies in bikinis, suddenly there were ladies running around in those bathing suits with a little thing on their head. Guys were wearing suits. There was coaches, I think you call that, with a horse in front of them, and all that things that would put it in, well, let's say 1930, something like that, 1928, 1920. And it was totally bizarre. My first reaction was getting my hand away, and everything turned back to normal. And I saw we had still had clouds in the sky, we had some chicks on the beach, the whole stuff. So I grabbed his hand back because I wanted to see what the result was, and instantly I got back in time, and instantly I was back at the point where he said, let's have a look. That's crazy. So we talked on, and he explained to me that he had a hard time as a kid. One of the worst experiences he ever had was when he had to go to Auschwitz with a school excursion. And he said, we have been in the bus for 2 days, we have in Germany, we have been in some old castles where it really freaked me out because I saw the people running around there like they were in whatever 15 something. He said, and then by the time we got to Auschwitz, the camp, I saw smoke out of the chimneys, and I realized that when I go in there, I will probably see the Jewish people being killed and burned and all that stuff. He said, I couldn't handle that, and thank God when I tried to get out of the coach, I slipped and my ankle twisted. So he said, they said, you better stay here. He said, I have never been more happy about having a twisted feet or ankle than that point. He said, that scared the living hell out of me. Just the idea that I would have to go in there and probably see what was happening. He said, and the crazy thing is when I'm sitting in the coach, at a certain point I look around me, and you have to realize when that happened, it's like hanging in the air, because the coach is gone, but I'm still there. He said, I look around me, and there is no camp. There's nothing, there's just green. He said, at that point, I probably went back far before the time that they ever built that shit. So he realized that this is very creepy, and the guy, we went back to a terrace there, then we could have a beer and just have a talk more and mostly listen more, because there's nothing more exciting to hear someone talking about stuff like that, especially if he can prove what he's saying. And that was something what happened when we were sitting talking there. He grabbed my hand again and said, man, you want to see this too? And at that point I see Germans working with sandbags to build their defense system. It's totally fucking bizarre. And another moment he grabbed my hand again and said, watch, this is fun. And I see fucking fishes flying around me. It's like I'm being, because the level of the water must have been a lot higher at that point. It's totally fucking bizarre. Later on, that's about 2-3 weeks later, he took me to his place, or he invited me over to his place. And that was also crazy. He lived on the 20th floor of an apartment building. And you have to realize something. He grabs your hand. He said, look, I'm living here for one reason only, because there's no water, there's no people running around, and the worst that can happen is that a bird flies in my room. But if you look, and he grabbed that, like I said, he grabbed my hand, and I don't know how you would feel if you realize that you're hanging in the sky with no support, 20 floors high in a fucking building, and the building is gone. And you're just hanging there and you're overlooking a very small village, what is the town in building. And 15 minutes later, the same view, and there's no town at all. No, not even a small village, it's just water. And a little later you see it again, but then there is a town already building, and actually he showed me at a certain point the bombardment when the Germans attacked Rotterdam and they really blasted them with bombs. You can see the whole fucking town in flames. And you're just hanging there in open sky. It's so bizarre. But it also proves a few things. There are things in life that we have no clue. There's no way of actually explaining it. And that is one of the things I learned over the years, that no matter what it is and how weird it is, and if you don't have any way of explaining what you have been witnessed, seen, or that happened to you, it is there. It's reality. It's not between your ears, because my imagination is not his imagination. If it would be his imagination, how the hell can he put that in my mind? How can I experience that? Yeah? Do you realize what I'm talking about? This is so weird. He talked about a lot of his experiences in the years where he was, especially as a kid, where he actually witnessed things that I can imagine he got freaked out, and that he actually had a certain point that his parents put him away in an institution. The only thing is they used electronic shots on his brains and stuff like that. And I think that should be a crime, and I think that the doctors who ever did that should be prosecuted still, even if they're in their 80s, and put them in the fucking jail, because that is the most bizarre thing you can do to a human being, putting fucking electricity on their brain. It's not a way of curing people, it's a way of mentally killing people. Destroying their brain is the worst thing that can happen to a human being, I think. The thing that makes us different from animals is our brain. And if you destroy that, you don't want to think about things like that. But there have been more. There have people telling me, please come to my home and I want to show you something. So you go to their place and you hear footsteps. You know there is nobody upstairs, but you can hear people moving around. Someone looking into the window. You run outside and there is nobody. And there is no way that someone is hiding, because the open space makes it impossible for them to run away that fast. People that say, my dead child is still here. and I have to keep her room, because if I would take that room away, the child, I don't know what was going to happen. And then you're standing there and you actually can more or less see things moving. You can see toys moving. You see, it's crazy. And if that's going on in their mind, how the hell can it come to my mind? I know I'm sensitive to a lot of things, but I'm not sensitive to the mind of someone else. And as long as they're not hypnotizing me or whatever, there's no living way. Nobody can actually tell me that that's not happening, that it is not true. And it's the same story about aliens. I mean, I talked about that too. Look at the stars. Just take one good look at the stars. And then tell me that you think that we're alone. I don't think so. There's a huge telescope up there in the air who sees every day find new stars. New stars with planets around them, with new possibilities of life. And I don't say human life. I mean life. We don't know what kind. Life can be anything, as long as it's possible of thinking, because that is what for me is life. And you have to realize that one day, maybe some ship comes down and said, "Hi, we're your ancestors, we put you down here to see how everything would work out." I have once had the pleasure, or whatever you want to call it, to look into a book that had drawings, ancient drawings, where you could see that we all, as humans, were brought from different planets. That was explaining us why there are Chinese, why there are whites, why there are black people, why are there whatever. Because we were brought from different planets in the solar system, here together on a planet that was for us livable, to see if we could actually work together. Maybe like the United Nations, but then on a bigger scale. And maybe we're not alone. I'm pretty sure we're not alone. But maybe we are not born here. And maybe Darwin was partly right. I think Darwin was right when it comes to the animals. I don't think that Darwin was right about our evolution. I think that we actually just were dropped here. If you look at the time of what they found on people and everything, it's almost impossible that Darwin was right. It is like the animals, yes, it slowly developed, and then suddenly there were human beings, and then it went very fast. And I don't think that he was right on the level that we might have grown out of the water on our feet, well, you know the story, I don't have to explain Darwin to you. And beside of that, my English is not that good always. I have to find up the words that I need, and I do this on scratch, and I'm not really put anything on paper or something. I just want to express my thoughts, share them with you. If there's anything that you like to add, or when you have a story, feel free. I mean, you can always reach me on my Facebook or on my YouTube. There's always a way to send me a private note. And if you want to talk about it, feel free. And if you have your comments, of course, share them with us. Let everyone read what your comments are. It will be nice. Hope to hear from you. I actually hope to see some vlogs maybe from some of you. Or just hearing a nice story that you ask me that I can put into voice and put it down here on the internet. It's the best place of sharing things, and I think the more people that will actually tell us what they feel, see and do, the more other people will say, "Hey, but that happened to me too." What is a déjà vu? I've been here. I'm sure I've been here. Okay. I'm sure this happened before. Okay. Is that real? Is that your memory? Is that dreams? What is it? Or what you were there before, maybe as a different person. Maybe I've been lifting along on the mind of someone else. I don't know. But those things are interesting, and those things we need to share. And the more we share, the happier we get. Because if we can be open about something, it's always better than having to hide it. I stop for this time. Hope you like what I do. And if you don't, let me know. If you like it, let me know. And whatever. Have fun.